Greetings Sega gamers, it's Dan, the Mega Driver here, one half of the Sega guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sega Master System. And I know we haven't done quite enough Sega Master System content here at the Sega guys, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the Mega Blog, whether it's shorts like these. So I'm going to give the console its due, because it was the console that introduced me to Sega, introduced me to Sonic the Hedgehog, and sparked my love for this company. Because I'm talking about my childhood top 10, it's only going to take me up until, the period of the Sega Saturn, when I got mine in 1996. That's kind of when I sort of phased the Master System out. So if your favourite game's not in this list, it's probably because I didn't actually play it before that time period. So without further ado, do me a favour and plug me into a Sega. At number 10 is Pro Wrestling. It's 10th in this list, but by no means the worst game I played on the Master System as a kid. Being WWF fans in the 80s and 90s, my brother and I, we longed for a good wrestling game. We lived through the awful Commodore 64 WrestleMania game until we finally got our hands on this. It may seem basic, with just 8 playable wrestlers by way of 4 tag teams, but it was a massive step up from the games that I was playing on my 8-bit micro. The controls are simple, but you can use some pretty iconic moves, and it plays at a decent lick, making it pretty fun, especially with 2 players. Playing solo, there's 30 rounds of wrestling to get through, so it does mean facing the same team about 10 times each at increasingly rapid speeds. My brother and I spent hours and hours on this one. It was one of the few 2-player games we had, and despite the very basic content, it gave us the gaming grappling that we both yearned for. I still think it's enjoyable today, even if it is pretty bare bones. It has some pretty horrendous box art. Number 9, Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Good old Alex the Kid. For many, he's the poster child for the Sega Master System, the mascot, the monkey boy who took on Mario, and kinda lost. No box art or cart for this one. It was built into our Master System too, so I don't own it physically, apart from on the console. For such an iconic and popular title, you might have expected it to be higher up, but despite how much I enjoy the adventures of the kid named Alex, I have always found it a bit tough to the point of being unfair. That said, I did manage to beat it once. It looks, sounds and plays fantastic. Alex Kidd in the Miracle World is colourful, well animated and responsive, with iconic music and sounds that still endure today. It's just the stage design and reliance on random elements that grate on me, particularly the jank and boss matches, which is just basically rock, paper, scissors. All that said, despite its flaws, it is undoubtedly a Master System classic. It's as enjoyable today as it is iconic, and you only have to glance at the recent remaster and fan-made sequels to see how beloved it really is. Number 8, The Ninja. A remix port of the arcade title Ninja Princess. This to me is Master System gaming at its finest. A great looking, iconically sounding and brilliant playing adventure that's both unique and challenging. The 2-button Master System setup is perfect for the Ninja, and it's dependent on memorization as it is reflexes, so the bosses demand a bit of strategy to beat. It's not going to win any Game of the Year awards, but the Ninja's snappy and addictive arcade gameplay is a perfect example of why we fell in love with Sega. It was a fun distraction as a kid, where I could seldom get past the second stage, but it truly is an absolute gem that I certainly appreciate a lot more today. It's common and affordable too, so I urge anyone looking for physical Master System games to pick it up. Number 7, Space Harrier. Sega's Super Scaler hardware was brand new and state of the art just as the Sega Mark III, that is the Japanese Master System, was being prepped for release. As such, no one would have thought it was possible for the Master System to pull off a decent conversion. The end result is actually a bit of a miracle. While the scaling and detail is scaled back significantly, the sprites are still huge, the graphics are still colourful and it plays incredibly well. The Master System promised to bring the arcade home, and with Sega's classic Space Harrier it came closer than any could have dreamed it would have. While Alex Kidd and a couple of others on this list impressed me, it was this specific port of Space Harrier that made me think my Commodore 64 was old hat almost instantly. It's not the best Space Harrier conversion available today, especially with so many emulated solutions available, but at the time it was absolutely mind-blowing and, in my opinion, it still holds a certain unique charm that makes it magic today. Number 6. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. After the disappointment of a lack of playable Tails pushed me and my siblings to demand a Mega Drive back when we were kids, the Master System version of Sonic 2 is still extremely special. Visually, it's certainly more solid and detailed than the first game, and it plays outstandingly well. The music is absolutely top drawer too, as you'd expect. You can definitely hear the Toot Toot Sonic Warrior there in Green Hill Zone. That said, some of the stage design, again Green Hill Zone, and gimmicks do drag it down. It's one of the toughest 2D Sonic games of the era, and while it's nowhere near as grossly unfair as the Game Gear port is, it still produces a taxing challenge which is more driven by memory than anything else. But all in all, these are minor quibbles really in what is one of the best platformers to ever grace any 8-bit machine. The approach is very different to most Sonic titles, with a darker, more sombre look than most stages, and one of the bleakest bad endings ever seen in a Sega game, but it all adds up to an excellent, yet unique, Sonic entry. Number 5. Asterix. As kids, we loved Asterix, both the comic and the animated movies, so an Asterix title was an easy win when it came to games my brother got for his birthday. Sometimes a license can make an average game great, but with Asterix, you just know from a few minutes of playing it that this is a very special game. You've got 2 playable characters that handle very differently, a cool bonus round that features their pet dog Dogmatics. There's plenty of environmental puzzles to complement the rock-solid platforming, and that results in one of the best games in its genre on any platform that generation. Licensed games of this era tend to get a bad rep, but Asterix is an unqualified success, as even without the license, there's an absolutely classic game here. Number 4. Sonic Chaos. More Sonic is never a bad thing, and it still gives me a warm feeling to see how much of the blue blur we saw on the Master System in the Hog's heyday. This is the last official Master System entry, and it adds Tails as a playable character, which gives both him and Sonic new moves. The graphics are up there with the best on the Master System, and it plays and sounds nearly perfectly. Some say it is the best Sonic game on the system. There are a few bouts of slowdown that do drag it down, and it is easy. In fact, it is so easy that when my brother received it on Christmas morning, we played it and finished it before we'd started Christmas dinner. Still, it's an absolutely fantastic game with excellent stage design, challenging special stages and classic Sonic gameplay. Surely you cannot get much better. Number 3. Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. While its 16-bit big brother was one of the centerpieces of the Sega Genesis's 1990 lineup, 8-bit Mickey was content not only to demonstrate what the Sega Master System could still do, but to actually trump the Mega Drive title in terms of gameplay at the very same time. Many believe this to be the superior version, and I actually count myself as one of them. There's no apple lobbing or collecting here, the 2-button setup is utilised to perfection, jumping and interacting with blocks to defeat enemies and solve puzzles. It sounds like standard fare, but there's magic in there. There's exquisite game design that's coupled with sumptuous sound and visuals. It's got plenty of heart and challenge too, so while there's more than a few platformers on this list, this is one that you really shouldn't be without. Number 2. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. Alex Kidd. 2 games, 2 caveats. Miracle World, as I said, is the one game that I don't actually own a cart for, and Shinobi World is the one game on this list that I played as a kid, but I didn't own until much later. So where do I start with this one? I need to be careful because I could easily go on for about 10 minutes about how amazing it is. Development of this game started off as a parody, but I think it's turned into the console's best true exclusive. Essentially, it's a chibi Shinobi affair. You guide Alex as he vaults, slices and hurtles across the world in search of his girlfriend. Everything here is incredible, from the music, to the stage design, to the pixel perfect gameplay. There's an ebb and flow to the gameplay that feels so different to most games of its type, and while it is easy to get into, it never feels any less satisfying. Some more challenge would have been better, and some better bosses would have created the perfect package, but as it is, it's still one of my favourite 8-bit titles ever. Number 1. Sonic the Hedgehog. For me, it could be no other. Seeing and furthermore playing this on my brother's Master System was a transformative experience. If Space Harry made the C64 feel old hat, Sonic made it feel absolutely archaic. It's amazing how Sonic made the transition to the Master System. The momentum and the physics-driven movement, it's all there. And Sonic is able to move so fast in the first stage that he can actually disappear off the screen. All the Sonic iconography is there, from Green Hill to the Bandits and Dr. Robotnik, but 8-bit Sonic isn't afraid to try new things. With new zones, different bosses, and a mixture of new and remixed stage themes. The music is absolutely incredible too, so good that Janet Jackson stole the theme for the bridge zone for Everywhere I Go. It looks fantastic as well, with the concessions from the Mega Drive not only being thoughtful, but giving the game a softer and generally more playful look. It also doubles down on the blue skies and green fields that are so quintessentially Sega in the first half of the game, while the second half represents Dr. Robotnik's industrialised tyranny. I could go on about Sonic on the Sega Master System forever. He's often overlooked for the Mega Drive version, but is at least every bit as good. And without the cramped screen of the Sega Game Gear port, this is the definitive 8-bit version of what I feel is one of the greatest games ever made. So that's my top 10 childhood Sega Master System games. As I said, my all-time top 10 will probably be quite a bit different with a few fan favourites in there. But if that's something you'd like to see, or if you just want more Master System related content, please drop a comment below or get in touch via Twitter. You can find me at swooper_D. You can find James at the Segaholic. You can find the account at Sega Guys. Please give us a like and subscribe. But otherwise, see you next time. Stay retro, stay Sega, and I will see you on the Sega side. Sega!